John, what's the biggest ethical dilemma you've faced?
What, you mean just in general?
Yeah.
Probably whether to eat my girlfriend's chips. We're in an age now where AI is everywhere. This means that more and more regulations are needed to keep the companies using AI under control. In the US, for example, 3 cities have already banned the use of facial recognition, and this highlights the growing need for controls around AI. But why did these cities ban facial recognition? Surely the technology can help law enforcement.
So the problem with this type of AI is the bias involved when training models. The models can create biased results and unfairly discriminate against people and groups.
Remember when that Microsoft Twitter bot got shut down? They let it run uncontrolled and learned from the tweets it saw. This caused it to become incredibly racist and spout some evil things. This highlights the need for strong controls over AI. If it's allowed to run free, then there are a lot of unintended consequences.
An interesting one is sort of the threat to jobs. There are 2 ways of looking at it. AI can either free people up to work on more interesting things and upskill into robotics or working with the AI, or AI can replace human workers.
This has consequences for the individuals as well as the general population that suffers from reduced tax revenue. Bill Gates even proposed that robots and AI that displaced human workers should be taxed at the same rate, with companies footing the bill.
What effect do you think that will have?
Hopefully it encourages people to upskill into robotics management or something slightly more digital so they can progress their careers and actually bring in more money to support those that have lost their jobs. What do you mean, threat to human dignity?
So this is kind of where AI is replacing people with a duty of care. So for example, automated voice AI that are replacing people that answer questions over the phone.
What's the ethical issue here?
There's no compassion with AI, and that's a bad thing when dealing with customer service, or think about in the future if there's the use of AI in healthcare or law. I mean, specifically judges and the police force. And that kind of brings us to liability. Like, who's accountable when AI makes bad, wrong, or biased decisions?
Surely you mean the creators. Like, if you created an AI and then it goes out and makes some crazy decisions, you're liable for those decisions.
I mean, that's the ideal scenario, right? But companies can claim that those algorithms were not explicitly programmed to do that they learnt that on their own.
Which means the companies absolve themselves of that responsibility?
I mean, potentially.
I suppose that leads to weaponization of AI.
Yeah, and this could spell a lot of iRobot style trouble. So this is when we get into the sort of problems where an automated targeting algorithm could end up attacking people for potential future crimes.
You mean like in the Winter Soldier?
Yeah, even if not on that scale, but things like Minority Report, where they have oracles to predict future crimes. But in this case, the oracles would be AI algorithms. In 2009, during an experiment at the Laboratory of Intelligent Systems in Lausanne, Switzerland, robots that were programmed to cooperate with each other eventually ended up learning to lie to each other in an attempt to come out on top.
So, if they can lie to each other, are we that close to having computers being able to lie to us?
Potentially. Imagine hearing, "John, don't worry, you're safe."
Terrifying. So there's a lot of ethical issues surrounding AI at the moment then.
Yeah, and that's part and parcel of new technology. If the regulation can't keep up with innovation, then it could be chaos. I would implore anyone serious about a career in AI to really get behind the ethical debate and stay close to regulations and any updates from governments around the globe.
If you like this content, then leave a review or a comment. It really helps us, and we'll see you in the next video.